Hey everybody, Coach Matt, EliteThrowsCoaching.com, coming to you today with week 3, day 3. This is our deadlift day. So to explain deadlift day, we are actually going to be using some of the strategies from squat day as well as some of the strategies from bench day to explain how we are going to progress and make this week just a little bit harder. Now, you can make monster jumps with something like deadlift and deadlift accessories. You can try to increase weight every single week. You can try to add sets every single week. And that might be good for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but eventually you're going to hit a wall. You're not going to be able to add 10 more pounds every week. You're not going to be able to add 1 or 2 more sets every week. You're either going to be in the gym forever, you're going to get way too tired, way too sore, or you're going to get injured. There's just no way that you can keep doing that for a 12-week plan, which is what we're doing today. So let's go through some strategies. Let's go through how we can look at week 1 and week 2 and make week 3 just a little bit harder to progress just a little bit more. Remember, we are working in 3-week waves. So with our squat day, we kept the same movement, but the box that we're squatting down to is a little bit lower, or has been a little bit lower every single week. We're taking that same strategy with deadlift as well. So week 1, we did a modified sumo deadlift. We pulled off of 9-inch blocks, and the weight we used went from 135, 185, 225, 275, 315 for sets of 5, 3, 2, 2, 2. Now, we kept everything else the same during week 2. All we did was lower the blocks that we were pulling off of. So instead of a 9-inch block, it was a 6-inch blocks. Today, we're going to be keeping the same exact strategy. So instead of a 6-inch block, we're going to drop it down another 3 inches down to a 3-inch block. So it's still higher than if we were on the ground, which is going to save my lower back, put me in a more optimal position to pull. We're not going to be adding any additional sets. We're not going to be adding any additional repetitions. We're not going to be adding any additional weight. We're not going to change my stance. We're not going to change the type of movement, the type of deadlift that we're doing. We're not going to change, 2, 3, 4, 5 things all at once. We're going to stick to the plan. We're going to lower the blocks. Now, this is where it gets tricky because over the past couple of weeks, I've kind of painted myself into a corner. I've kind of trapped myself a little bit. So you've got to get creative. And last week, as I showed you, week 1, lat pull-downs, 4 sets of 12 at 160. I thought that was going to be really easy, but it was actually a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. So for week 2, I bumped it up to 170, but the goal was to do more total overall volume. So sets times repetitions times the weight to get your total overall volume. So week 1 was 7,680 pounds total. Week 2, by playing with the numbers, I was able to get 7,820 pounds of total volume, of total weight. So this week, what did we do? Well, I want to bump up again, and I want to use 180. So that's going to be the thing, is I want to add more weight, but I also want to make sure that I'm doing more total overall volume. Because if I did 4 sets of 80 and I did sets of 10, that would actually be a lot lower than 7,820. So what do? Well, I'm going to do 4 sets of 180, but I'm going to do sets of 11. So I'm going to try to do 4 sets of 11. And what that's actually going to do is add 100 pounds to what I did last week. So not only is the weight going up a little bit, but I need to make sure that my total overall volume goes up as well. And we're taking that same approach with the hamstring curls. So the first week I did 35 pounds for 12, 45 for 3 sets of 12. That's how we got our 4 sets of 12. It was 12, 12, 12, 12. That worked out fine. Then I had to jump up in weight, so I went up to 45 pounds. So instead of doing 45, 55, 55, 55, which would have just been way too much, I did 45 for 12, 45 for 12, 45 for 12, and then I bumped it up to 55, and I did 55 for 10. And that gave me 2,170 pounds of total overall volume. And that ended up being 130 pounds than what I did week 1. So all we're doing is just a math equation, sets times reps times weight. Really simple to do. So we had to play with it a little bit today as well. So I know that I'm going to be a little bit more tired because I'm pulling off of a lower block. I'm going to be a little bit more tired because I'm using heavier weight and doing more total overall volume on the pull downs. So I didn't want to just go 55, 55, 55, 65. That would have been way too much, and there's probably no way I was going to get sets of 12 at 55 if I only did a set of 10 with 55 last week. So what do we do? Well, I know I can get 45 for 12 because I did that last week. I did that 3 times. 50 for 12 shouldn't be that bad because I did 55 for 10 when I was already really fatigued. So this is how you have to think. You got to kind of try to think these things through. I can do 55 for 10. I did it last week. I should be able to do it this week. It might be a struggle, but we're going to try it. And then I'm going to bump up to 60 and try to get 10. Now that's going to be a struggle. That's probably going to feel like 55 for 10 last week. It's probably going to feel worse than 55 for 10. But what I'm hoping is because I'm starting a little bit lighter, I'm going to have a little bit more energy, a little bit more gas in the tank when I get there. And now if I'm able to complete this goal that I have in mind, if we're able to do this, then that's actually going to be 120 pounds more of total overall volume than last week. So that's what you have to do. If you paint yourself in the corner, if you go too heavy on week 1, you have to find ways to manipulate the repetition and the weight to get more total overall volume. Okay, that's something we had to do on tricep press downs on Tuesday's workout, on our bench press workout. Then we have reverse hypers. Very simple progression here. First week, we did a superset, 2 sets of 15 with 80 pounds, and then 3 sets of 20 face pulls with the black band. Last week, we just added 1 repetition. So 3 sets of 15 of the reverse hypers, 4 sets of 20 face pulls. Now this week, I'm going to do exactly what I did on squat day on Monday. We're going to do 4 sets of 15 with 80 pounds, and then 5 sets of 20 using that black band. Same exact movement using the black band. So all we're doing is adding 1 additional set to each one. So for something like this where you can't really measure the weight, it's just the band that you're using, adding 1 set is a great way of doing it. Also, if you keep the sets the same and add the repetitions, that's another great way of doing it. But we're doing more sets. So you can do more sets, you can do more reps, but you don't want to do more sets and more reps because you're just going to get way too tired way too quickly. All right, so that's the plan for today. I'm going to let you know how this goes. That too, this looks like a pretty tough day. Now that I write it out and I look at it, this is what a 3rd week of a 3-week block should look like. It's going to be a little bit of a test. It's going to be a little bit more difficult than last week. It's going to fatigue me. It's going to make me a lot more tired. I'm going to see how I do on all of these, and I will report back to you right after the voiceover. Okay, everybody, so I just wanted to, this is going to be a little bit longer of a voiceover, but I really wanted to show some things I've been working on and answer some questions as well that a lot of people have been emailing me and asking me about. So first things first, this is the 135 first set of deadlifts. Pretty easy stuff, nothing too crazy here. The lower boxes actually felt pretty good. I was working on trying to keep my back nice and flat, and then in between each set I was going and watching the video again. So this is the one, this is 185. You can see from my mid back to my low back is pretty flat. I'm trying for it not to be flat. I'm trying to arch my back a little bit. So on this set here, you can see I'm kind of got that Donald Duck butt where I'm kind of trying to get that anterior pelvic tilt, stick my butt out a little bit, kind of twerk my butt out there a little bit on that initial pull. And I feel like that makes my back feel a lot better. Same thing here. You can see that initial kind of sticking my butt out, trying to arch my back. Now when the bars are lower on the ground, and when I'm actually in a sumo stance, where I've got my feet a little bit wider than they are now, I'm able to get a lot more upright and keep that natural arch to my back, keep that little bit of an arch going. So this is 315 right here. Nice easy set of 2, nothing too crazy. Back feels fine. Really happy with how these look today. So I want to show you something else here too. You're going to see I'm going to reset. So I'm grabbing the bar to do lat pull downs. And when I go to get my legs underneath those rollers, I realize that I forgot to reset the rollers. So I have to lift the roller up another setting. Now I don't just jump into it. I'm actually going through the process again of getting my hands set and then getting my knees under and getting myself set up. The other thing I'm really working on here is a big stretch of my lats at the top. So that's why I put my head in between my arms at the very top. I like to see that stretch. I like to feel that stretch on my lats. So I'm not losing control. I'm not letting my arms go and just like hoping my arms don't pop out of the socket. I'm purposely letting myself ease back at the top to get that big stretch at the top. So the next one here, this is actually my last set. That was my first set. This is my last set of 11. And you'll see the last 3 that I do have a lot of body English, because I'd rather get all 3 or all 11 reps than do 8 really good reps and then just call it a day. I'd rather cheat on the last 3. So I think this might be number 7. Yep. So here's, again, a lot of body English, pausing at the top, really trying to force out these last 3 reps to hit my number I was looking for, which is 11. All right, something kind of funny here. If you look at the handle right near my right hip, you can see there's a string or a rope hanging from the handle. I misplaced my stopwatch. So recording this, and basically I was taking a little over a minute of rest in between each set, like a minute and 20, minute and 30 by the time I watched the video and all that stuff. And doing these hamstring curls, I could not find the stopwatch. For the life of me, it was like, where did I put the stopwatch? Oh my God, what's going on with the stopwatch? I could not find it. So this is my 3rd set, which was 55 pounds that I got for 10. That ties what I did last week, which was 55 for 10. I could not find the stopwatch, so I kept the video going. And here is 60 for 10. And again, this whole time, you can see the weights are kind of pulling my head up off of the mat or off of the pad. I'm trying to keep my nose down, but the problem is my hamstrings are pretty tight, especially after the deadlifts and everything. So I'm feeling some tension on my lower back. So I'm letting myself come up a little bit and kind of controlling myself on the way as my legs straighten out. Trying to keep that little bit of a stretch, but not pull anything in my back. And you'll see here when I stand up, I stretch out my back a little bit. I stand up and I look down, and sure enough, there's that damn stopwatch. I mean, what an idiot I am. So find the stopwatch finally. All right, now I want to show you something here. I've had a lot of questions on supersets and how much I rest in between the exercises. The answer is that I don't rest in between exercises. So once I finish, I've got my stopwatch. Now that I found it, I've got the stopwatch in my hand. And what I'm going to do here is, once I'm done with face pulls, the 20 reps, I'm going to click start. And then once I start face pulls again, I'm going to click stop. And I'm going to tell you how long it was actually in between, because, okay, so I'm done. Let's click the stopwatch. I go over to the reverse hypers. The reverse hypers, again, we're going to do 15 repetitions of these, and then we're going to go back immediately into the face pulls. And I'm going to tell you how long it took to get from basically finishing the first set of face pulls to going back and doing the second set of face pulls, to tell you how much time I'm not doing face pulls, or how much my upper back and my rear delts are resting after doing those face pulls. So doing the reverse hypers right now. Just check out my feet. I like to keep my feet spread out a little bit more, so I kind of like duck-footed, pigeon-toed, whatever that's called. I feel a lot more of a squeeze in my glutes and my hamstrings when I do that. So going back over, I'm going to grab the band. I'm going to pull back, and boom, first set, 56 seconds. So 56.37 seconds is what I got timing that. So it was just about a minute that my upper back was resting from doing the face pulls. Okay, so if I were to take another minute on top of that, like if I took a minute rest between the reverse hypers and the face pulls, that would have been a minute and 56 seconds, would have been too long. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing now. I'm going to go from essentially when the reverse hypers stop to when I go to get back on the machine again. I actually walk behind the camera and turn off the camera to stop the actual recording, but that's going to give you an approximation of exactly how long it would take to go from the end of the reverse hypers all the way through the face pulls again to the start of the reverse hypers. Because again, it's 56 seconds of rest between the face pulls while I'm doing the reverse hypers. Okay, so here's reverse hypers are done. I'll start the stopwatch, get out of the reverse hyper machine, walk back over to face pulls. I'm going to do my third set of face pulls. So you can tell there's no timed rest. And maybe that's the best way of saying it. There's no timed rest between the exercises. But the rest is actually when you're doing the other exercise. That's when you're resting. Okay, so we're going to finish these up. And again, we're going to go through and tell you exactly how long it's going to be. And then we're going to go back to the explanation. So right here, I'm going to walk behind the camera and I'm going to call it. Okay, so right off the bat, I just want to say that was a really, really good workout. That is what a week 3 workout absolutely should feel like. Now, what I mean by that is, number one, the top exercise, the main movement, felt harder than last week. We are doing lighter weight. We are only doing sets of 2, but it felt harder than last week. The form and technique, as I look back on the videos, looked pretty decent. There's still some things for me to work on, but I was very, very happy pulling off of those 3-inch blocks. We get to the lat pull-downs. Now, the lat pull-downs, as you saw in the video, that last set of 11, I really had to use a lot of body English on the last 3 or so repetitions. But my thought process in that was, would I rather do 11 and have the last 3 reps be sort of like cheater reps, be like a lot of body English, a lot of like heaving, or would I just rather do 8 reps? I'd rather do 11 and cheat on the last 3 than do 8 and stop right there and be a stickler for form. That's why the little frowny face is up there, because it was harder, it was tougher. I'm not 100% upset with it. That's what the last set on the last day should feel like. It should feel like you have nothing left in the tank, and it should feel like if you had to do another set, or if you did go heavier, it would not have been possible. That was exactly how I wanted those pull downs to end, and I think that was the best kind of possible way that it could have ended, because again, 160 felt so heavy on the first day, 170 felt heavy last week. I wanted today to be heavier than last week, but not impossible. And I think that is the best result you can get, is to have something like that happen. So if I had to do that again for week 4, I probably wouldn't be able to do it. If I had to increase the weight again, or if I had to do 5 sets today, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. If I tried to do 12, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. It worked out really well. The only way that happens, guys, is if you write down what you do and you do the math. A lot of times you do have to figure out your total overall volume. Another case for that is the hamstring curls. So the hamstring curls, I started lighter. So just like I did last week, I started at 45. Instead of bumping up to 55, I took 50. Again, a nice little bridge. 55 last week for 10. I did 55 for 10 again today. And then 60 for 10. Now look, I knew 55 for 10 was really, really hard. Maybe I could have squeaked out the 11th one if I really wanted to, because I had some fuel, some gas left in the tank from the lighter earlier sets. But I wanted to go 60. I know I had to get 10, but I also, doing the math, knew 120 pounds of difference between these 2 weeks. If I got 8 repetitions, I would have tied last week. Anything over 8 repetitions would have been a win. So it would have been either 60 pounds heavier than last week, total volume, or 120 pounds heavier than last week, total volume. I went to 120 pounds. I did all 10. Mission accomplished. I don't think I could have gone 65 and gotten 10. I don't think if I started at 50 or 55, I would have been able to get all the reps. Again, that worked out really, really well. And then the last couplet, which I showed you a couple rounds back and forth, started with the face pulls. I always write it upside down. I don't know why. Face pulls, reverse hyper, face pulls, reverse hyper, boom, 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 boom. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Again, 1 additional set compared to last week, which is 1 additional set compared to the week before. That felt good. It didn't feel any heavier, obviously, but I was definitely more fatigued at the end. The additional 20 repetitions of the face pulls, the additional 15 repetitions of the reverse hypers was perfect. That's exactly what I needed, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. Really, really good workout, really pushed myself on these exercises, got through everything, didn't fail on everything, accomplished all my goals that I wanted for today, and it fills out the bingo card, so to speak, for the entire 3-week wave. All of the goals were accomplished, mission accomplished, started out lighter on every day, went heavier on every single day. Moving forward, as we get into week 4, 5, and 6, same formula. I'm going to change up all the exercises to be harder versions of what we did for the past 3 weeks. So the deadlifts are going to be a little bit harder in some way. The movement itself that I choose is going to be a harder version of what I'm doing now. The lat pull-downs, I'm going to use a different handle. The different handle is going to make it feel a lot harder. So I'm going to have to start lighter again with that harder handle. It's a closer grip handle. Hamstring curls, I'm probably going to get off the curl machine and go to a glute ham raise, which is a more difficult version. It's a body weight version of a hamstring curl. The reverse hypers, I'm going to increase the weight. These will always stay in. It's a staple, but I'm going to increase the weight and possibly decrease the repetitions while increasing the set. So instead of 2 by 15, it might be 3 by 12 at 100 pounds instead of 80. So we're going to bump it up a little bit. Face pulls are going to be a more difficult version of what we have been doing. So everything for week 4, 5, and 6, harder, more difficult movements. As we look ahead to 7, 8, and 9, it might be more difficult movements again, or it might be the same movements that we did this week, either moving it down to the ground, making it a lot heavier, decreasing the repetitions because we're working on strength, increasing the amount of sets to still get the volume. You're going to have to play with those numbers, but you've got to write everything down. You've got to look back on what you did throughout the weeks, and you've got to make sure you're breaking records. If you continue breaking records every single week for 12 weeks, you know you are going to get stronger, and that's the name of the game. Write everything down, keep it in a notebook. I have notebooks from years ago that I still look back on. Full notebooks, like those marble composition notebooks that I look back on from years ago to find training ideas, to see when was I at my strongest. Okay, this is what I was doing. This were the exercises. These were the movement patterns. These were the bars I was using. Sets, repetitions, it's all in there. So I can look back to make sure I am always improving, to make sure I'm always going that next step further, so I'm getting stronger and I'm bettering myself. So that's why you guys, you have to write all this stuff down. Now, I am going to be doing one more day of this tomorrow. It is our upper body leftover pressing day. I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm going to have to write it out tomorrow. I'll explain everything to you. I don't think I'm going to be able to use heavier kettlebells. I may have to use dumbbells instead or change up the amounts of sets or repetitions. We're going to see. I don't know what it's going to look like, but we're going to put it on the board, explain it all to you tomorrow, and then show you what it all looks like. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video series. We got one more day left. If there's any comments, any questions, anything that you need from me, leave them in the comment section down below. And if you like the video, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get all of our videos every single day. We're putting them out 5 days a week, so you are in the know and you are up to date on all of the training that we're doing here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow.